The red REC dot on the grainy monitor was the only spot of color in Elena's world. It pulsed in time with the headache behind her eyes. 1:17 a.m. The light in Corridor D shouldn't be on. Unit 301. She'd cut that lock herself at noon, the big red one, sheared it for the auction winner. A man with haunted eyes and a jacket 2 sizes too thin, clutching a little girl's hand. He'd won the unit, the legendary Alistair unit, rumored to be a Millionaire's time capsule, for $80. 80, the cost of a delinquent account's cleanup fee. He was supposed to have it cleared by 5 p.m. He was trespassing. He was, she thought with a twist of bile, probably stealing. Elena grabbed the heavy mag light, her knuckles white on the cold metal. Her world had shrunk to this 10 by 12 office, this gravel lot, this graveyard of forgotten things. Her job was to be the warden. She was the manager, a title that felt like a joke. She managed failure. She managed regret. Just 2 hours ago, she'd been on the phone with a debt collector, the same one who called every Thursday. His voice a bored monotone as he listed the interest accruing on her ex-husband's credit cards. Cards, plural, that she was now responsible for. Community property, the judge had said, his gavel falling like an axe. Her ex, Gary, was probably on a beach in Mexico. She was here, in a cinder block room, watching a grainy screen for thieves. Her job was to protect the property of people who didn't care about it, from people who needed it too much. She stepped out of the office, the gravel crunching under her boots like broken teeth. The smell of frost and old rust hit her, the metallic tang of failure. She marched toward 301, the beam of her flashlight cutting the dark, a white sword of weak authority. She was ready to scream, to threaten, to call the cops. It was the part of the job she hated, which meant it was the part she was best at. The small, kind part of her had been repossessed along with her car. She slid the heavy metal door open just 6 inches, jamming the light inside, and the words died in her throat. He was there, the homeless dad, not stealing. He wasn't rifling through boxes. He wasn't pocketing heirlooms. He was sitting on a sealed plastic tub, his thin jacket wrapped around his sleeping daughter, who was curled in his lap, and he was weeping, holding a simple, leather-bound book as if it were the only anchor in the world. Wait, before you see what's inside, if this story already has your heart pounding, tell us where you're watching from. When forgotten boxes open, when second chances hide under dust and debt, subscribe and stay close. You'll never guess what's been left behind. Now, back to the lock clicking open. The man didn't look up, not at first. He just flinched, a full-body recoil, pulling his daughter closer. The girl, Mia, Elena remembered him calling her, stirred, a small sigh escaping her lips. The beam of the maglite caught the silver tracks on his cheeks, the raw red of his knuckles. "You're not supposed to be here," Elena said. Her voice was too loud, a rasp of authority she didn't feel. It just sounded mean. In the vast, cold silence of the metal hallway, it echoed. "I know," he whispered. His voice was cracked, shattered. "I'm sorry. We didn't have nowhere else. The shelter was full. The cold weather vouchers were gone by 6. He finally looked up, and his eyes weren't just haunted. They were broken, hollowed out. "I paid. I just needed a room, with a lock, just till morning." Elena's anger, so sharp and reliable, deflated. It left her empty, standing in the cold, cavernous hallway of Storett's safe, a place that was neither. She looked past him. The unit wasn't a millionaire's treasure trove, not in the way the auction crowd had hoped. There were no antique cars, no forgotten paintings wrapped in burlap. It was just boxes. Dozens of identical, sealed wardrobe boxes, stacked high, labeled K.A.-Winter, K.A. Linens, plastic tubs, all the same brand, labeled in a neat, looping script. A few pieces of heavy, dark wood furniture draped in white sheets, standing like ghosts in the gloom. It wasn't a hoard, it was an archive. "You can't sleep in here," she said, but the conviction was gone. It was a line she was paid to say. "It's a violation, insurance, fire code." "I know," he said again. He wasn't a threat, he was a tragedy. I was looking for a blanket." He gestured to the open wardrobe box next to him. It was full of cashmere coats, heavy wool, things that smelled of cedar and money. Mia was half curled on a fur-collared coat that was probably worth more than Elena's car, and I found this. He held up the leather book. It wasn't a diary, it was a ledger. Elena moved closer, lowering the flashlight. The man, Marcus, shrunk back, but he didn't hide the book. "What is it?" she asked, her voice softer. I think it's her," he stammered. "The woman, Mrs. Alastair." Elena nodded. "Unit 301, Catherine Alastair, delinquent for 6 months. Estates in probate. The lawyers just stopped paying. She'd processed the paperwork herself. It was just a file, just a problem to be solved, an asset to be liquidated." "She wasn't just rich," Marcus whispered. He opened the ledger. The beam of the light fell on the page. It wasn't numbers, it was names. Sarah J., $1,200. Rent, Feb. Forgiven. T. Henderson, $750. Utilities, forgiven. Marcus R., no relation, funny, $2,300. Car repair, forgiven. Page after page, names, amounts, and a single word, stamped in red ink next to each one, forgiven. "It's a debt ledger," Elena said, confused. "She was a loan shark?" "No," Marcus said, his voice thick. He pointed to a simple wooden box at his feet. It was open. It was full of envelopes. She was an angel. He picked up one of the envelopes. It was addressed to Catherine Alastair. He pulled out the letter. Elena took it, her fingers numb from the cold. "Dear Mrs. Alastair," she read aloud, her voice a small thing in the vast, cold unit. "I don't know how you found me. The $800, it saved my kids. The pantry is full and the heat is on. God bless you. I'll pay you back as soon as I'm on my feet." At the bottom of the letter, a small, pink, paid in full stamp. Marcus pointed back to the ledger. She wasn't collecting debts. She was forgiving them. She was finding people who were about to go under, paying what they owed, and then forgiving the debt they now owed her. Elena sank onto a sealed tub opposite him. The cold plastic bit into her legs. Her head was spinning. She, Elena, managed a place where people stored things they didn't need or couldn't bear to part with. It was a monument to attachments and regret. She'd become as cold and hard as the concrete floors. She saw these units as failures, delinquency, loss. But this was something else. This unit wasn't a failure. It was a secret, a mission. "Why was it delinquent?" Elena whispered, thinking aloud. "Why let this go to auction?" Marcus was already digging. He opened another box. Not clothes, binders, more ledgers, and a smaller personal journal. He opened it. The last entry was dated 8 months ago. "The diagnosis is final. It's fast. The lawyers are circling. The family I never knew is already fighting over the china. They're vultures. They see the money. They don't see the work. They'll freeze the accounts. They'll stop the payments. The chain will be broken. I can't let them find the fund. I can't let them stop the work. They see the Alastair name, But they don't see the chip on the teacup I drank from for 20 years. They can have the shell. I have to hide the heart. Elena felt a cold dread creep up her spine. She did it on purpose, Elena said. She let the unit go delinquent. She hid it, Marcus said, his eyes wide. He was catching on. She hid the fund, the real money, in a place no one would look. A place her vulture family would ignore. A delinquent storage unit. They wouldn't come here, Elena agreed. A place like this? They'd just write it off. Let the lawyers handle it. She thought it would be safe, Marcus said. He looked around. She didn't count on the lawyers stopping the payments. She didn't count on us. Elena stood up. She didn't count on it being sold for $80 to a man who just needed a place to sleep. The irony was brutal. A millionaire's secret angel fund, a lifeline for hundreds of people, sold to the very person it was designed to protect. And he, in his desperation, had paid for it with the last of his money. How much? Elena asked, dreading the answer. Is the fund in here? Marcus looked down. He pointed not to the wooden box, but to a heavy canvas bank bag tucked inside the cashmere coats. I was looking for a blanket for Mia. It was just there. Elena walked over. She didn't want to touch it. It felt electric, cursed. Marcus, how much? He unzipped the bag. It was full of cash, stacks, bundles, used 20s, 50s, hundreds. It was a lot. I counted it, he whispered, and his voice was full of terror. While Mia was sleeping, I counted it 3 times. I thought I was wrong. Marcus, $50,000, he said, exactly. And this? He reached into his own pocket and pulled out a small sealed white envelope. On the front, in the same neat looping script, was one word, Finder. Elena's heart stopped. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a mistake. This was a test, a will, a burden. She looked at Marcus, a man so terrified of this money he looked like he was going to be sick. She looked at Mia, asleep in a nest of $1,000 coats. She looked at the ledger in her hand, the list of names, the forgiven stamps. And then she saw it, halfway down the second page, a name she knew. Maria Lopez, minus $4,500, medical, forgiven. Elena stumbled back, sitting hard on the tub. Her breath was gone. It felt like a punch. What? Marcus said. What is it? Maria Lopez, Elena said, her voice a stranger's. That's my mother. She remembered. Not vaguely, she remembered all of it, a flash flood of humiliation and fear. The smell of antiseptic and floor wax. Her father, his face gray, sitting at their kitchen table, his head in his hands. He was a proud man, a man who fixed things, and this was a bill he couldn't fix. $4,500. It might as well have been $1 million. The arguments about selling the house, the experimental treatment. The bank had been so final. And then, one day, it was over. Her father came home, his eyes wide, holding a letter. A clerical error, the hospital said. A donation from an anonymous benefactor. They'd celebrated. They'd been so relieved. But Elena, even then, a junior in high school, had felt the shame of it, the wrongness. They had been saved by a ghost, by a mistake. It felt like pity. It had changed her father. He'd stopped fixing things after that, as if that one act of anonymous grace had broken his spirit. He hated being a charity case. And Elena, seeing his quiet shame, had grown to hate the benefactor. She'd built a wall of cynicism around herself, a belief that all rich people were just playing games, that their charity was just another way to feel powerful. It wasn't a mistake. It was her, Catherine Allister. The silence in the unit was deafening. broken only by the hum of the ballast in the corridor light and the soft breathing of the sleeping child. Elena stared at the name, Maria Lopez, her mother, saved by a woman whose delinquent unit Elena was now standing in. She saved my mother, Elena said. The words felt like stones in her mouth. All the bitterness she'd cultivated, the hard shell she'd built against the world, the vultures who lost their units, the corporate bosses, her ex-husband, the anonymous benefactor who had humiliated her father. It all felt so cheap, so wrong. She had become one of the monsters she hated, the one who cut the locks, the one who sold off people's lives for pennies. Elena? Marcus' voice was timid. He'd read her name tag. My job, she said, the realization dawning like a slow, cold sunrise. My job is to report this. She was supposed to. Any cash found, it belonged to the estate. It was her duty to call her boss, Mr. Henderson. He would be here in a few hours. He would seize the money, report Marcus to the police for trespassing, and probably call Child Protective Services on him for having his daughter in a storage unit. And the ledger, the work. Henderson would turn it over to the lawyers, the vultures Catherine Alistair had tried to hide it from. The chain would be broken. All those names. You have to go, Elena said, standing up. The decision was instant. It was terrifying. What? You have to go, now. Take the bag, take your daughter, and run. Marcus looked at her, his eyes wide with a new kind of fear. Run? Where? Elena, I have nowhere to go. This money, it's not mine. She said it was, Elena snapped, pointing to the envelope. She left it for the finder. That's me, he stammered. But I can't. $50,000. They'll think I stole it. A guy like me. They'll take Mia. His voice broke on her name. They'll take my daughter. He was right. He was absolutely right. A homeless man suddenly flush with $50,000 in cash? He was a target. He was a suspect. He was, in the eyes of the world, a criminal. The money wasn't a blessing. It was a cage. They don't need a reason, Elena, he whispered, his fear palpable. They just need an excuse. A man like me? A place like this? That's all the excuse they need. They took her from her mom. I can't lose her. I can't take it, Marcus said, pushing the bag away. I won't. You take it. You're the manager. It's yours. It's a tip. The absurdity of the word hung in the air. Elena looked at the cash. She could take it, pay off Gary's debts, walk away from the gravel lot, the metal doors, the smell of failure. She could be the anonymous benefactor in her own life. But she looked at the ledger. Maria Lopez, forgiven. She looked at the letter in her hand. I'll pay you back as soon as I'm on my feet. And she looked at the last unopened envelope. Finder. Open it, she said. What? The envelope. The one for the finder. Open it. Marcus fumbled with the seal. His hands were shaking. He pulled out a single sheet of heavy, cream-colored stationery. Elena shined the light on it. To you. If you are reading this, then you have found what I left. You are either the person I hoped for or the person I feared. The money in the bag is a burden. I know this. It is heavy, it is dangerous, but it is also a seed. If you are the person I feared, one of the vultures, one who sees only the cash, take it. It is cursed. It will bring you nothing but what you already are. But if you are the person I hoped for, if you are the one who needed a blanket, if you are the one who sees the ledger and understands, then you know this is not a prize. It is a key. The ledger is the map. The money is the fuel. The work is the journey. Do not keep it. Give it away. But do not give it blindly. Give it where it is needed. Continue the list. See the ones no one else sees. My family will fight over the shell of my life. You hold the heart. Do not let the chain break. K.A. Elena read the last line aloud. Do not let the chain break. A long silence. Elena clicked off the mag light. The only light now was the weak yellow glow from the corridor bulb, casting long, strange shadows. She's giving us a job, Marcus whispered, a note of awe in his voice. Elena looked at him, really looked at him. A man who, with $50,000 at his feet, was more afraid of it than he was of the cold. A man who had looked at a sleeping bag full of cash and thought only of the trouble it would bring. No, Elena said, she's not giving us a job. She's giving you a job. You're the finder. You're the new Mrs. Alistair. Marcus looked horrified. Me? Elena, I can't. Look at me. I'm nobody. I'm a roofer with a bad back and medical bills that ate my life. I can't manage a fund. You're not a nobody, Elena said, her voice fierce. You're the man who won a Millionaire's unit for $80. You're the man who was just looking for a blanket. You are exactly the person she was waiting for. But the rules, Marcus said, frantic. You said it yourself. Your boss, the police, CPS. Yeah, Elena said. A slow, cold smile touched her lips. The rules. This whole place ran on rules that broke people. Henderson's rules, the bank's rules, the world's rules. For the first time, she felt the urge to break them back. She pulled out her phone. 1:47 a.m. What are you doing? Marcus asked, his voice tight with panic. My boss, Mr. Henderson, he's a real stickler for the rules, Elena said, her thumb hovering over his name. He likes everything tidy. You're calling him? He's coming in at 7 a.m., Elena said, for the auction report. He's going to want to know what was in Unit 301. Elena, no. He's going to want to know, she continued, that the winning bidder, a Mr. What's your last name? Gable, Marcus Gable. A Mr. Marcus Gable, as per the rules, has completely and totally cleared his unit. Marcus stared at her. Cleared? As per the auction contract, Elena said, the words coming fast, the plan forming like a crystal in her mind. All contents of the unit are the property of the bidder. And all units must be broom clean within 24 hours. You've just been very efficient. She looked at the mountain of boxes, the furniture, the clothes. This, she said, is not the fund. This is stuff. The shell, she called it. The heart is in that bag and in that ledger. But what do we do with all this? Marcus gestured to the millionaire's life. We follow the rules, Elena said. We clear the unit. But first, she took the ledger from his lap. She took the canvas bag of cash. She took the small wooden box of letters. First, she said, we take these up to my apartment. Your apartment? I live upstairs, she said, jerking her thumb toward the office. It's not much, but it's warm, and it has a coffee maker and a bed. Mia can sleep in my bed. Marcus's eyes filled with tears again. Elena, why? Why are you doing this? Elena looked at the ledger page. Maria Lopez, $4,500. Forgiven. Because, she said, her voice thick, she paid my mother's bill. I figure I'm delinquent. She led them out of the unit, locking the heavy metal door behind her. It felt final. They walked across the gravel lot, the three of them, a strange, broken little family. Mia was still asleep, a dead weight in her father's arms. Elena felt the weight of the canvas bag in her own hand. It was heavier than she'd expected. Elena's apartment was small, one room over the office, smelling of stale coffee and microwave popcorn. But it was warm. She set Mia down on her own bed, pulling the comforter over her. The girl didn't even stir. Elena put the ledger, the cash bag, and the box on her tiny kitchen table. They looked obscene, like a bomb just waiting. "Okay," Elena said, firing up the Keurig. The sound was violently loud in the small room. "It's 2 a.m. Henderson gets here at 7. That gives us 5 hours." "5 hours to do what?" Marcus asked. He was hovering by the bed, looking at his daughter like he was afraid she'd disappear. "To continue the work," Elena said. She sat down. She opened the ledger. She kept meticulous records. Names, phone numbers, addresses. What if it's a trap?" Marcus whispered. "What if the money is marked? What if this is some crazy test from her family?" "It's too kind to be a trap," Elena said, echoing her own thoughts. "It's too sad. The woman who wrote that journal, she wasn't playing games. She was trying to save her life's work." She flipped back to the journal, looking for more. She found another entry from a few days before the last one. "Robert asked about the fund again. My cousin. He's the executor. He said we needed to consolidate assets. I know what that means. It means liquidating the heart. It means calling in the markers. He said, 'Catherine, it's just money. You can't be this sentimental. Just money.' He has no idea. This isn't money. It's 1,000 breaths of fresh air. It's a light switch coming back on. It's a car starting. It's a second chance. They can have the houses. They can have the stocks. But I will burn the fund to the ground before I let them touch it. I will set it free." Elena looked up at Marcus. She set it free. She threw it into the world, hoping someone would catch it. Marcus's face was pale. And I caught it for $80. He finally sat down, his lanky frame folding into the small dinette chair. You asked why I'm scared. Of CPS. Of all of it. You don't have to," Elena started. "Mia's mom, Sarah, she got sick," he said, his voice flat, staring at the Formica table. Not like your mom. Not a thing doctors could fix. It was in her head. Depression. Then other stuff. Pills. She loved Mia so much. But one day, I came home from a job, and the apartment was cold, and Mia was in her crib, just crying. No one had been there for, I don't know, a day, maybe more." He swallowed hard. Sarah was gone, just gone. And the social worker who came? She looked at me, at my tools, at the empty fridge, and she looked at me like I was the monster, like I was the one who left. I fought. I got Mia back. It took 6 months. I lost my truck. I lost the apartment. But I got her back. But they're always watching. They told me, "One slip, Mr. Gable. One night in a car. One night in a storage unit. And they'll take her. They'll say I'm unstable. They'll say I can't provide." He looked up, his eyes pleading. "This money, this isn't providing, Elena. This is a lightning bolt. It's evidence. It'll just prove I'm a criminal. A man like me can't find $50,000. He can only steal it." Elena's cynicism, her hard-won bitterness, felt like a flimsy shield. It was gone. All that was left was a raw, aching nerve. She understood his fear. It was the same as her father's shame, just a different flavor. The world had already decided who they were. A charity case, a deadbeat. She didn't think so, Elena said, her voice quiet. She pushed the ledger toward him. She thought you were the finder. She flipped to the last page, to a section titled Pending. There were 3 names. This is the list, Elena said. The people she was going to help before she couldn't. She looked at the first name. Cynthia Walker. $1,500. Eviction hearing 11/8. Elena looked at her phone. It was November 8th. The hearing would be in a few hours. She's a single mom, Marcus said, reading over her shoulder. He'd found a small attached note. 2 kids. Lost her job. Landlord's a nightmare. Okay, Elena said. She took a deep breath. She pulled a thick stack of hundreds from the bag. The paper felt dry, forbidden. Here's the plan. You are not homeless. You're an investor. You're the new head of the Alistair Fund. You just acquired it. Elena, this is crazy. Is it? She said. Is it crazier than letting a woman and her kids get evicted when we're sitting on 50 grand? Is it crazier than letting your daughter sleep in a storage unit? He flinched. She didn't care. She had to make him see. You're the finder, Marcus. She chose you. Now you have to choose. He looked at his daughter, sleeping peacefully in a warm bed. He looked at the cash. He looked at Elena, her eyes burning with a manic, terrifying energy. He nodded. Slowly. Okay, what do we do? We can't just mail her cash, Elena said. We have to be smart. We have to be like her, anonymous, a miracle. She thought for a minute. The courthouse. The eviction hearings start at 8 a.m. We have to get to her before the hearing. How? We go to her, Elena said. We get there before the sun comes up. We slide it under her door. Cash. With a note. A note? From the finder, Elena said. She grabbed a pen. No, not from the finder. From a friend. She counted out $1,500. Her hands were shaking now. She put it in one of her own utility bill envelopes. On a blank piece of paper, she wrote, You are not alone. The chain is not broken. K.A. It's 2:30 a.m., she said. This woman's address, it's 40 minutes from here. She looked at Marcus. I can't leave Mia, he said instantly. I know, Elena said. I'll go. You? What if you get pulled over? With that much cash? Elena, you're not, this isn't what you do. It is now, she said. I'm not taking the bag. Just this. She held up the envelope. You stay here. You're the home base. You watch Mia, and you start on the next one. She pointed to the second name. Sam's Garage, $900, tools from pawn. This one, she said, we can call. It's a business. We can pay with a credit card, my credit card, and I'll reimburse myself from the fund. It was a risk, a huge risk. Henderson tracked her corporate card, but he wouldn't see it until Monday. By then, she didn't know what would be. Okay, Marcus said. Okay, I can do this. Eleanor grabbed her keys. Lock this door behind me. Don't open it for anyone. I'll be back in 2 hours. She ran down the stairs, jumped in her beat-up '04 Civic, and peeled out of the gravel lot. The drive was a blur. The city was asleep. She was, for the first time in her life, wide awake. She was terrified. She got lost twice. She saw a police car parked at a diner and almost had a heart attack, her hands slick on the wheel. This wasn't her. She was a storage manager. She was the one who called the cops. She found the apartment building. It was in a rough part of town, one of those places with stained hallways and a front door that didn't lock. It smelled like old grease and despair. She parked, her heart pounding. She ran to the door, Unit 2B. She could hear a TV inside, a kid's cartoon, way too loud for this time of night. She slid the envelope under the door. And as she was walking away, she heard a sound from inside, a shuffling. The envelope was gone. And then a woman's voice, not a cry, but a choked, disbelieving whisper. Oh my God! Oh my God! Eleanor ran back to her car, her own tears blurring the streetlights. She felt high. It was the most terrifying, most alive she had ever felt. She got back to the apartment at 4:15 a.m. Marcus was at the table, the ledger open. He looked different, straighter. "She's okay," Elena said, her voice breathless. I think we got there in time." I did the other one," Marcus said, his voice quiet. "Sam's garage. I called, woke him up. He was angry. He cussed me out." "What did you say?" "I told him I was from the Alastair Foundation, paying off a client's bill. Mr. G. Thomas, George Thomas. That's the name on the ledger." "And?" He went quiet, real quiet. Then he said, "Alastair. Catherine Alastair. I'll be damned. I heard she passed." I told him her work isn't. He said GT hadn't been in for months. He said the guy was a good mechanic, just hit a rough patch. He said the tools were his life. He said GT was gonna be real happy. Marcus looked up. He thanked me. He called me sir." Elena smiled. "See, you're a natural." She looked at the third name. M. Gable, $500. Voucher, Crestview Motel, RM 112. Back brace/meds. Elena stared. "Marcus, M. Gable, that's you." He looked. He hadn't even seen it. "What? No, she didn't know me." "It's a different ledger, Marcus," Elena said, her voice shaking. "This isn't the forgiven ledger. This is her pending list, a list of people she was going to help." "But how?" "I don't know," Elena said. "The shelters, the network of people she helped? Maybe it doesn't matter. She found you, Marcus, the same way she found Cynthia, the same way she found my mother. Look at the note, room 112. That's where you were before the voucher ran out, wasn't it?" Marcus just nodded, his face pale. She had known. She had put a voucher for a motel for him in her own ledger. She'd known about his back. "She knew," Marcus whispered. "She knew someone like me would find it," Elena finished. "She wasn't just leaving a will, Marcus. She was setting a trap for the right person." The weight of it settled on them. This wasn't chance. This was faith, a rich, dead woman's impossible faith. And Marcus wasn't just a finder. He was an heir. He was the first one on the new list. Just then, a small voice came from the bedroom. "Daddy?" Marcus was on his feet instantly. Mia stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes, her hair a mess. She was clutching the fur-collared coat. "Daddy, where are we? This isn't the box." "Hey, sweetheart," Marcus said, his voice thick. He scooped her up. This is Miss Elena's place. She's a friend." Mia looked at Elena, her eyes big and sleepy. Then she looked past her, at the table, at the canvas bag. "The money! Wow," she whispered. "Is that... Are we rich, Daddy?" Elena and Marcus froze. It's paperwork, honey," Marcus said, his voice tight. "It's Miss Elena's work." It's my job to count this," Elena said, trying to sound bored. "It's for the bank." She quickly, calmly zipped the canvas bag. "It's very boring." Mia just stared at the bag. Can we get pancakes?" Marcus looked at Elena, his eyes wide with panic. The simplicity of the question in the face of the everything. Elena laughed, a real, actual laugh. It sounded rusty. "Yeah," she said. "Yeah, I think we can get pancakes. But first, we have to do one more job. A secret job." Elena looked at the clock. 5:03 a.m. "Okay," she said, her voice low. "Henderson comes at 7. That's 2 hours. We have a problem. What problem? Marcus asked, holding Mia tight. We we still have $47,600, Elena said, looking at the bag. And we have a 10 by 15 unit full of a millionaire's furniture, clothes, and God knows what else. And we have you and me. And now we have a witness. She smiled at Mia. Are you a good secret keeper, Mia? Mia nodded solemnly. I kept the secret about the box. Good, Elena said, because we have to move all this boring paperwork to my car, right now. They worked fast. Mia, half asleep, sat in the dinette chair, guarding the ledgers. They wrapped the ledgers in one of the cashmere coats. The cash bag went into a duffel bag from her closet. The wooden box. Elena held it for a moment. She opened it. The letters, the stories. This, she said, is the most important part. She tucked it in the duffel. Now what? Marcus said. Mia stays here, Elena said. Lock the door. You and me, we've got a date with Unit 301. The sun was just a gray promise in the sky. The air was sharp. 5:30 a.m. We can't move all this, Marcus said, looking at the ghosts in the unit, the heavy, beautiful furniture. We don't have to, Elena said. We just have to make it look empty, worthless. She took her keys and dragged a long, deep scratch down the side of a mahogany sideboard. The sound was a scream in the quiet. Elena, Marcus was horrified. That's beautiful. It's a thing, Marcus, she hissed, her voice ragged. The ledger is a life. The money is a chance. This is just wood. He's not going to look. Henderson, he just glances. He needs to glance, see trash, and sign the form. He wants this off his books. He's lazy. She was right. She'd worked for the man for 3 years. He'd never once stepped inside a delinquent unit. He just took her word for it. Help me, she said. Marcus hesitated. He looked at the scarred wood. He looked at the door. He picked up a small, overturned velvet chair, and he threw it against the wall. A leg cracked. It was his final break. They didn't clean. They desecrated. They pulled clothes off hangers, threw them on the floor. They overturned boxes. As Marcus tore open a sealed box labeled keepsakes, a handful of photographs spilled onto the floor. He stopped. Elena stopped. He picked one up. It was Catherine Alistair, younger, smiling, on a boat. She looked happy. In another, she was holding a small child's hand. We can't, Marcus whispered, holding the photo. This is different. This isn't furniture. Elena took the photo. She looked at the woman who had, from across time and death, saved her mother and found this man. She felt a sudden, sharp pang of connection. You're right, she said. She grabbed the keepsakes box. This one goes with us. It was a risk. It was one more thing to hide. But she couldn't let Henderson's cleanup crew throw this in a dumpster. It felt like breaking the chain. She ran the small box up to her apartment, told Mia it was more paperwork, and slid it under the bed next to the duffel bag she'd just put there. New plan, she said to Marcus. We move everything to my trunk, right now. By 6:45 a.m., it was done. The unit was a disaster. The furniture was still there, but it looked picked over, ruined, worthless. The duffel bag, the ledgers, and the box of photos were safe in her car. Okay, Elena said, breathing hard. Now, the paperwork. She ran to the office. She printed out the unit surrender form. You have to sign this, she said. It says you're the winning bidder and you've taken possession of all items, and the unit is now broom clean. But it's not, he said. He'll never check, she said. He'll bill the estate for the cleanup, which is what he wanted to do all along. She scribbled a note on a work order form. Unit 301, heavy-duty cleanup, vandalized by vagrants. He'll believe it, she said. It's the story he expects. Marcus signed the paper. His hand was steady. "Now what?" he asked. "Now," Elena said, "we wait." They stood in her office, drinking the last of the bad coffee. Mia was half asleep on the office chair. At 7:01 a.m., a black Mercedes pulled into the lot. Mr. Henderson. He got out, smoothing his tie. He was a man who smelled like expensive aftershave and irritation. "Elena," he barked, not even looking at her. "Report, 3:01. Did we get anything?" "Morning, Mr. Henderson," Elena said. Her voice was calm. She'd never been calmer. "The bidder is here. He's just finishing up." Henderson looked at Marcus, his lip curled. He saw the thin jacket, the old boots. "You," he said, "you won the Alistair unit?" "Yes, sir," Marcus said. "Well, what was in it? Antiques? Jewelry?" He was practically vibrating with greed. Marcus looked at Elena. "It was mostly trash, sir," Marcus said, his voice finding a strange new strength. "Trash?" Henderson was furious. "That was a Millionaire's unit. It was supposed to be, I was told." "The family must have taken the good stuff," Elena cut in, smooth as glass. "What was left, it's junk. In fact," she said, "the bidder is surrendering it back to us for disposal. It was vandalized. Homeless got in, I think." "Vagrants?" Henderson's anger shifted. "In my facility? Elena, this is a failure of your management. This is unacceptable." "You're right, sir," Elena said, meeting his eyes. "It is a failure. A failure to see what's right in front of you." She held her breath. But he'd already moved on. "The unit. I want to see it." Elena's heart stopped. "Sir, I want to see the trash. I want to see the vandalism. This is coming out of your paycheck, Elena." He started walking toward Corridor D. "Sir, wait," Elena said, stepping in front of him. I wouldn't." "Get out of my way." "No, really," she said, forcing a look of disgust. The vagrants, they were living in there. It smells. It's a biohazard, sir. I was going to call the special cleanup crew. You're wearing new shoes." Henderson stopped. He looked down at his polished $800 loafers. He looked at the dirty concrete of the corridor. He looked at Marcus, the element, and his face twisted in disgust. "Biohazard," he sniffed. Fine. Just get it handled. I want it sterile by noon." "Yes, sir," Elena said, letting out her breath. "Disposal? That's a $500 cleanup fee. The estate, I've already billed them." Elena lied. "And Mr. Gable has signed the surrender form." She handed him the clipboard. He glanced at the signature. He glanced at the work order for the cleanup. "Fine," he snapped. "Just get it done. I want this lot clean. This kind of element." He gestured at Marcus. "It's bad for business." He turned and got back in his car. He hadn't even looked at the unit. The Mercedes pulled out of the lot. Silence. Marcus let out a breath he'd been holding for maybe his whole life. He looked at Elena. You're amazing." I just quit my job," she said. The realization hit her. She had just lied. She had just broken all the rules. "What? I can't stay here," she said. He'll find out. Hell, the credit card. Hell, I can't." "So what do we do now?" Marcus asked. Elena looked at the empty office, the buzzing light, the grainy monitor. This hadn't been a life. It had been a different kind of storage unit. We continue the work," she said. "The fund, it's homeless now too. We need an office," Marcus said. He was smiling. A real, actual smile. "We need a car," Elena said, looking at her Civic. "A better car. And a lawyer. And we need to get your daughter some pancakes." She went upstairs. She wrote a note. "I quit." She left it on the desk. She grabbed her purse. She helped Marcus get Mia, who was now awake and excited. "Pancakes!" she chanted. "Pancakes," Marcus confirmed, his voice thick. Elena met them at the door. She handed Marcus the last thing from her desk. The keys. The keys to the office, the gate, The apartment. Here, she said. What for? Leave them on the counter, she said. I'm not locking up. They walked out of the office. The sun was fully up now. Weak, but there. It made the gravel lot look almost new. Elena, Marcus, and Mia got into the old Civic. The trunk was heavy. Heavy with cash. Heavy with ledgers. Heavy with the heart of a dead millionaire. Elena started the car. Where to? She asked. Marcus looked at his daughter, buckled into the back seat. He looked at this strange, fierce woman next to him. The Crestview Motel, he said. I think we should start with that voucher. I'd like to pay for it myself. Elena put the car in gear. She didn't look back. She drove toward the gate, the one she had opened and closed 1,000 times. She drove past the rows of metal doors, past Unit 301, past the office. The gate clicked shut behind them, the sound final. They pulled out onto the main road, just another car in the morning traffic. But Elena knew they weren't. They were a secret. They were a mission. They were, she thought, as she saw the flickering neon sign for the Crestview Motel up ahead, the chain. The motel was even sadder in the daylight. The sign buzzed, half its letters dead. But the vacancy light was on. Elena parked. Okay, she said. What now? Now, Marcus said. He took a deep breath. He turned to Elena. Can I borrow $500? Elena smiled. You're not borrowing it. She reached into her purse and pulled out the thick stack of hundreds she'd taken for Cynthia. No, she'd reimbursed that. She pulled a fresh $500 from the duffel bag in the back. This is from the fund. Your back brace. And a room, he said. He took the money. His hand was steady. Wait here. He got out of the car. Elena watched him walk into the motel office. He was still wearing the thin jacket. He still looked haunted. But he walked taller. He was in there for a long time. Elena felt a new panic. What if the clerk knew him? What if he called the cops? The door opened. Marcus walked out holding a key. A real plastic key card. He got in the car. Room 214, he said. It's non-smoking. It has 2 beds. Daddy, does it have a TV? Mia asked from the back. It has a TV, Marcus said. And for the first time, he laughed. Let's go, Elena said. They parked in front of 214. They got out. Elena grabbed the duffel bag in her purse. Marcus carried Mia. He slid the key card into the lock. It beeped green. He pushed the door open. The room was a motel room. Brown carpet, beige walls, a faint smell of bleach. It was the most beautiful place Elena had ever seen. Mia ran inside and jumped on one of the beds. It's bouncy! Marcus set his backpack down. He turned to Elena, who was standing in the doorway, holding the duffel bag full of money. Are you coming in? He asked. Elena looked at the room. She looked at her car. She looked at the gravel lot in her rearview mirror, a place that already felt like a dream. We need to make a plan, Marcus said, his voice quiet. We need an office. We need that lawyer. I can't do this without you, Elena. You're the one who saw. You're part of the chain. Elena looked at him, at Mia, who was now trying to turn on the TV, at the duffel bag in her hand. She took a step inside. She put the bag on the table. Okay, she said. Okay, Marcus, let's make a plan. But first, pancakes. I saw a diner down the street. She closed the door. The lock clicked, a heavy, solid sound. It was the sound of a new kind of safe.